Most people imagine the time of Jesus as a spiritual atmosphere, sandals, sermons, miracles, moral stories set in a distant religious past. But for the people actually living in that time, daily life was not defined by theology. It was defined by money, or more precisely by the absence of it. The world into which the historical figure we know as Jesus was born was shaped by one of the most unequal economic systems the ancient Mediterranean had ever seen. Welcome to my channel. This is where money, power, and history collide. And nothing is ever as simple as it seems. At the beginning of the 1st century, Judea existed within the most sophisticated extraction machine the world had ever known: the Roman Empire. Rome did not conquer territories to integrate them. It conquered them to finance the center. Provinces existed to move wealth from the edges of the empire inward: grain, silver, labor, all flowing toward Rome. Judea was one of those edges, and this mattered because Judea was not wealthy. It was largely rural, agricultural, and fragile. Most people lived off the land, not farms in the modern sense, but plots just large enough to survive. A bad harvest did not mean lower profits. It meant hunger. And Rome did not care. Rome governed Judea through a mix of local elites and imperial officials. Kings like Herod the Great ruled with Roman approval. After his death, Roman prefects such as Pontius Pilate continuously oversaw the region. Their job was not to improve living standards. It was to maintain order and ensure that revenue kept flowing. Taxes were the backbone of the system. And this is where things became uncomfortable. Today, people think of taxes as something paid on income, profit, or growth. In Judea, taxes were owed regardless of outcome. You paid simply because you existed. Land taxes, produce taxes, head taxes, road and market tolls. And on top of all that, religious taxes. Payment was mandatory, and the consequences were immediate. There was no IRS. There was no appeals process. Tax collection was outsourced to local contractors, known as tax farmers. They paid Rome up front for the right to collect taxes, then squeezed the population to recover their costs and make a profit. In this system, abuse was not a flaw. It was the incentive. If you couldn't pay, you borrowed. Debt was everywhere. And unlike modern debt, there were no safety valves, no bankruptcy, no restructuring. Interest accumulated quickly. Land was the collateral. A single bad year could push a family into a spiral they would never escape. The process usually looked like this. A farmer plants crops. The weather turns. The harvest fails. Taxes are still due. The farmer borrows from a local lender, often a wealthy landowner or a temple-connected elite. Interest accrues. The next year yields recover slightly, but the debt remains. Eventually the land is seized. The farmer becomes a tenant on what was once his own property, or a laborer, or disappears entirely. This was not an accident, it was structural. Over time, land consolidated into fewer hands. Large estates replaced small plots. Wealth clustered around elites tied to Roman authority and temple administration. The majority sank into precarity. The economy didn't just produce poverty, it reproduced it. And there was no state safety net. If you lost your land, there was no unemployment support, no welfare, no public housing. Families were the only buffer. Community charity existed, but it was limited. When too many people fell at once, the system offered nothing. Debt wasn't just financial, it was social. Losing land meant losing status, losing security, losing identity. A family's future could be erased by a drought, a tax increase, or a single unpaid obligation. This was the world Jesus was born into. And it's important to say this clearly. Most people were not poor because they were lazy, immoral, or cursed. They were poor because the system required them to be. Rome needed surplus. Local elites demanded rent. The temple demanded revenue. All of that pressure fell on those with the least margin for error. This produced something else as well, tension. Judea was not quiet, it was volatile. Rebellions flared constantly. Banditry was not crime, it was economic desperation. Messianic movements did not emerge in comfort, they emerged in collapse. Groups arose promising debt forgiveness, freedom, justice, and reversal. And this is the point modern audiences often miss. When people listened to sermons about debt forgiveness, they were not hearing metaphors. They were hearing survival. When the poor were mentioned, it wasn't abstract compassion.